This building is designed to hold about 160 people. We have about 140 in it today. The building here houses mainly construction and engineering related folks, but then we also pulled in some of our shared services. Marketing lives in this building. Interstates in general is an electrical contractor, so it's everything from engineering design through the construction phase, and then also the automation that supports whatever that process happens to be. So there's representatives of all of those disciplines within this building.
We did work on a project in Sioux Falls together, and this was definitely an evolution of that space. So they had learned a lot on that space. We kept some of the same principles and kind of design styles that we had originally in Sioux Falls and carried them over here and just evolved it.
We had Interstate Office involved from the very beginning. So when we formed a team, had a few different architecture firms, some contractors that were local to us that we knew we wanted to have involved, and then we brought in a couple folks from Interstate Office. Marcia and Christy both helped a lot on the early design. It's a big deal to be able to get input on the furniture decisions while we're still laying out walls in the buildings.
IOP was a great piece of that, brought forth a lot of ideas, as did all the other players, and that allowed us to develop these 6 levers that guided the whole design, whether it be furniture or our walls or how we even interact.
And they really focused on some of these key areas to make it a great place for their employees to be.
I wanted to drive collaboration forward for our company, and so when we took people from our historical buildings and put them in this building, we kind of mixed them up out of departments and into project groups, focused on clients, focused on achieving a slightly different result for our clients, and hopefully in a faster way too.
General layout of the building is 2 office wings with a center worker cafe. All of our employees come and go through the front door, so that was intentional. There's one set of bathrooms, 1 kitchen. One of the levers of the building design process was to get people up and moving through the building and running into each other.
So when you first come into the space, we have this large table. It's called the Potrero table, and we designed it so it's got some power and data in it, so you can stand at it, work at it, and really kind of have a lot of people around the table to work together.
We wanted it to be almost like a coffee shop feel, right, where people could come and get away from their desk for a little bit.
The booth seating that you'll see, we intentionally did that with some taller backs to kind of give it a sense of more privacy and enclosure. And the 2-person booths are a great space to work either individually or with another person to collaborate, or maybe just to share a quick lunch together. On the back side of the wall, we've got more booths that are even more private. So those are enclosed by sheetrock walls, and those also have kind of a ceiling on it to give you more of that sense of enclosure and privacy.
The whiteboard that's behind me is actually a wall that opens up into the training room that's behind it. So it gives us some flexibility in the space to be able to make it larger or host bigger events. But then the whiteboard on this side of it is really so far been used to kind of communicate brand and culture.
We realized that offices weren't reinforcing some of the behavior we needed, so we made a choice to go with no private offices. And of course there was concerns and resistance and normal stuff, but the big idea was we needed to kind of put the weight on more collaboration and less weight on privacy.
All the workstations have sit-to-stand electric height adjust desks, so that's been kind of our standard here over the last handful of years. It's an ergonomics and kind of a comfort thing for our people. Then they're also oriented and set up in a way that's fairly collaborative. So they're fairly open to their neighbor and as well as the people kind of across the aisle.
We talked about where leaders should sit. They don't have offices, so we want to run into leaders so that we can resolve some of these quick issues and keep things moving very quickly. The other thing is this choosing what you need to do great work. So if you need quiet, there's rooms to be quiet. If you need rooms to meet with one other person, there's rooms to meet with one other person. If you need a room to Skype with one of the other 700 employees that don't live in Sioux Center, you can do that very easily in all these small spaces we've created.
We did mediascape tables in quite a few of the conference rooms, so that gave them the deep well to house all of their technology in, and then the ability to, they can project on all their screens, and technology was kind of a key factor in in the collaborative areas. That was, number one. We needed to have screens and be able to connect easily.
Our HR team needs a room close by. They have one. And so our estimators need like a war room to do big work some days when they're finishing off bids. So we've provided for that. There's larger spaces where a team can actually have a week-long collaborative event to really push out a project.
In the open plan, we did a product called Post and Beam, and so this encloses a standing height table, and users can walk in there and have marker boards around all sides of it. So it's a very dynamic, collaborative space that encourages movement to get up and stand up, write ideas on the board. On each wing, we did a neighborhood hub, and essentially what that is kind of, that's the place where you go for your printing, recycling, kind of some workspace and some storage space. When you kind of approach the neighborhoods, there's a little collaborative area out front, so we kind of call that the front porch, where you can walk up to another standing height table, some lounge seatings, so just another area to have casual collisions. You can kind of run into someone while you're grabbing your print and say, I meant to ask you this question, and just an easy way to, another way to run into each other.
And it's amazing the speed of business has improved because many of these small things that used to hold us up are being erased because of the collaborative environment.
It's really all about getting people to see each other when they need to, have that 5-minute conversation and avoid a meeting or avoid a long wait on emails. So the building's kind of designed to help support that.
I think it looks fantastic. The finished product is better than I could have imagined, with all their graphics and signage and just kind of the finishing touches that were placed on it. It just really kind of goes seamlessly with the furniture and the design intent of the building.